The story of our movie today begins with the beautiful and charming girl, Laura, who is sitting in a fancy restaurant, waiting for a guy she met online. The guy calls her to apologize for being late and tells her he's having trouble finding the restaurant. He asks her to stay on the phone with him until he gets there. Laura agrees and starts talking about herself, telling him that she's a college professor who teaches students how to make movies, specifically horror films. Laura keeps talking until the guy says he's close to the place and asks her to step outside and stand in front of the restaurant. Laura does so, and when she asks him where he is, he tells her he's still on his way and asks her to meet him halfway. The guy keeps leading Laura along with conversation until she finds herself in a dark, deserted street with no one around. At that moment, a masked man suddenly appears and attacks her, stabbing and brutally killing her. Afterward, he removes the mask, revealing that he's Jason, a student at the university where Laura works. After finishing her off, Jason collects his things and leaves. On his way, he runs into Tara, another student, who asks if he'll be attending the university tomorrow. Jason replies that he'll come if he finishes his project. Jason heads to his apartment, where he puts the mask in a closet filled with other masks. Suddenly, he gets a call from someone with a distorted voice, asking him what he did today. Jason explains how he killed Laura and describes the exhilarating feeling he had, saying it was like watching her turn into an animal with no value as he killed her. The voice then instructs Jason to open the fridge in his apartment, and when he does, he finds the body of his friend Greg inside. Just then, a masked figure appears and attacks Jason, stabbing him to death. It turns out the person Jason was talking to on the phone was the real killer, not his friend Greg. After this, we see Sam, Tara's sister, talking to a therapist. We learn that about a year ago, Sam and Tara were attacked by a serial killer named Richie, who was actually Sam's boyfriend at the time, though she had no idea he was a killer. Sam managed to kill Richie back then, but she still struggles with trauma and the rumors that have spread about her being the real killer, partly because her father was also a serial killer. After the therapy session, Sam returns to the apartment where she lives with Tara and their friend Quinn. Sam asks Quinn where Tara is, and she tells her that Tara went to a party with her friends. Sam feels uneasy, but Quinn reassures her that there's nothing to worry about. At the party, Tara is enjoying herself with her friends, insisting she doesn't need protection, and leaves to sit with a guy at the bar who's trying to take her away from the party. Tara's friends intervene, and just as things are about to get tense, Sam shows up and tases the guy. Sam, Tara, and their friends leave the party, clearly upset. Sam follows Tara and tries to explain that she's only doing this because she's worried about her. But Tara snaps, yelling at Sam, accusing her of treating her like a child and embarrassing her since the attack a year ago. Tara tells Sam she needs space and to back off. Tara heads home, followed by Sam and the others. Suddenly, a news report appears on the TV, announcing the deaths of Jason and Greg. Sam is shocked and realizes there's a new killer in town. Sam and Tara receive a call from Detective Bailey, Quinn's father, who tells them they found Sam's ID at the crime scene and that she's needed for questioning. Sam decides to go to the police station and takes Tara with her because she's worried about her safety. While on their way, Sam gets a call from Richie, the killer who tried to kill her and Tara last year. Both are stunned, as Richie is supposed to be dead. Sam herself killed him in self-defense. Despite the shock, Sam decides to answer the call to figure out what's really going on. It turned out that the person who answered Sam wasn't her friend, but the new killer. He told her that he killed Jason and Greg because they were planning to kill her and her sister Tara. He also said that she should be thanking him. Sam responded, "Do you think you're protecting us?" He replied, "No, all I want is to show everyone the truth about you, that you're a liar and a killer just like your father, and that you deserve to be punished. I'll make sure you pay for everything you've done." Suddenly, a masked person attacks them, but Sam and Tara manage to escape quickly and enter a nearby crowded store. However, the killer follows them, killing anyone who gets in his way. After taking out everyone in the store, he starts searching for Sam and Tara. While they're hiding, the police arrive just in time, and the killer escapes, leaving his mask behind. Later, Sam and Tara reach the police station, and Detective Bailey tells them that Sam is a suspect because her ID was found at the crime scene. Sam explains that she was with her therapist that night and later went to a party, proving her innocence. She also tells Bailey that she and her sister need to leave the city immediately, but he refuses and says, "You can't leave. You're still a suspect, and you have to stay here." Next, we see Sam's therapist, and someone knocks on his door. As the therapist approaches the door to see who it is, the killer violently attacks him, killing him, and takes Sam's file to make her the prime suspect with no way to prove she was with the therapist that night. The movie then takes us back to the police station, where Detective Bailey introduces Sam and Tara to Detective Kirby, who has come to help with the investigation to catch the killer. Sam takes her sister and leaves the police station. When they walk out, they find a crowd of reporters waiting for them. Among them is a well-known reporter named Gail. As soon as Sam and Tara see her, they get into a fight, and Tara punches her. Gail had been with them during the incident last year and helped them survive, but afterward, she exploited the situation by writing a book about it to boost sales, smearing Sam's reputation by calling her crazy and disturbed like her father. Gail tries to convince Sam that she's here to help this time and that the book was only to increase sales. She also says that she knows a lot of information because of her experience as a reporter. However, Sam rejects her help and tells her to stay away. Days pass, and Detective Bailey and Detective Kirby try to gather any clues about the killer, but they can't find anything. Meanwhile, rumors about Sam spread, and many people start accusing her of being behind the murders. Sam feels incredibly distressed. One night, Sam, Tara, Quinn, and all their friends gather at Sam's apartment. The killer manages to sneak into the building without anyone noticing. But Danny, Sam's boyfriend, sees him from his apartment across the street. The killer attacks them, killing Quinn. Everyone tries to escape, but the killer's attacks are brutal. Tara and Chad manage to flee the building, while Sam and her friends lock themselves in a room. Danny sets up a ladder for them to escape to his apartment, and they all manage to cross safely, except the last person, who falls because the killer breaks into the room. The next day, the police arrive to investigate what happened. Detective Bailey, who is Quinn's father, steps away from the case after his daughter's murder. He swears to track down the killer and make him pay for what he did. Meanwhile, Gail returns and tells them she's uncovered important information and wants to help. This time, Sam agrees to let her assist. Gail reveals that she had been investigating Jason and Greg's deaths and discovered they had purchased a secret building that no one knows about. They decided to head to the building, hoping to find any clue that would lead them to the killer. Sam and Tara's friends joined them, as well as Detective Bailey and Detective Kirby. When they arrived, they discovered it was a massive cinematic museum filled with statues, all dressed like the killer. Each statue had tools and the name of the killer it represented. It turned out that these were the old killers, and the new one wasn't just some amateur like them. He had a specific goal, and they needed to figure it out. The next day, they made a plan, using Sam and Tara as bait for the killer. They left them alone without protection, hoping the killer would contact or come after them so Detective Kirby could trace the call and locate him. Sure enough, the killer called and told them he knew their entire plan and wasn't stupid. At that moment, they traced the call and discovered he was in the same building as the reporter, Gail. The killer called Gail, and she confidently told him he couldn't do anything to her. But suddenly, he appeared behind her and attacked. Gail fought back, but he managed to stab her. Just as he was about to finish her off, Sam and Tara arrived and shot at the killer, but he escaped quickly. The police arrived soon after and rushed Gail to the hospital in critical condition. Afterward, the group gathered and brainstormed how to finally get rid of this killer. They decided to lure him to the old museum and kill him there. They asked Detective Kirby for help with their plan. When they got to the museum, Kirby reassured them that the place was secure and that no one else would be armed except her, to keep them safe. While they were there, Sam got a call from Detective Bailey. He told her that he had asked the FBI about Kirby, and found out she'd been fired 2 months ago after they discovered she was mentally unstable. He warned Sam that Kirby was likely the killer, Sam and the others tried to escape quickly, but all the doors were locked. Suddenly, the killer appeared and chased them. They barely managed to get away, but then the shocking part happened. 2 more killers showed up, wearing the same costume and mask. The killers grabbed Chad, Tara's boyfriend, and brutally murdered him. One of them managed to injure Sam and Tara badly. Then Kirby showed up, shooting at the 2 masked killers. Sam and Tara were stunned, thinking Kirby was the killer, and that someone else had been helping her. At the same time, Detective Bailey appeared, pointing his gun at Kirby and shooting her. The masked killers then stood by Detective Bailey. They took off their masks, and here's where the real shock came. The 2 killers were Ethan and Quinn, Detective Bailey's children. Quinn was still alive and had faked her death earlier to avoid suspicion. They wanted revenge on Sam and told her they would make her wish for death, planning to kill Tara right in front of her so she could feel the same pain they did when she killed their brother, Richie, the previous year. Richie had been the killer who had tried to murder Sam and Tara before. Kirby, who was still alive, shot at the killers, but Detective Bailey responded by shooting her again. Sam and Tara didn't wait long, and they began stabbing and shooting at Quinn and Ethan until they killed them. But as they tried to escape from Bailey, their injuries slowed them down. That's when Sam decided to do to Bailey what he and his children had wanted to do to them. She put on the killer's mask and costume, called Bailey using the killer's voice, and started taunting him, telling him his son Richie died because he was weak and cowardly. Bailey lost it, shooting wildly and swearing he would kill them. Finally, Sam ambushed Bailey, stabbing him repeatedly in a brutal and terrifying way, killing him. Afterward, Sam took her sister Tara, and they rushed out of the place. A while later, the police arrived with Danny, Sam's boyfriend. The paramedics took Kirby, who was still alive, and it turned out that Chad had also survived. Tara decided she needed to see a therapist because what she went through was too much to handle. In the end, Sam threw the killer's mask behind her, and they all walked away from the scene, leaving the killer's mask lying on the ground. And that's how the movie ends. I hope you all enjoyed watching it with us. If you liked this video, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe.